Hello, my name's Sabrina Weymouth and I'm a psychotherapist in private practice. This is just a short video about codependency. Codependency is really a style of relating, some people would call it an addiction, where you're so tuned in to other people's sort of feelings and moods and needs that you actually lose touch with yourself and your own feelings and your own needs. Typically, codependents will feel that their emotions are dictated by other people's moods. So if your spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend or a family member is really upset, you'll find it sort of impossible to relax. And often there's a lot of anxiety and there's sort of a lot of discomfort until that other person's mood improves. And codependents will often find themselves sort of trying to help, trying to alleviate the mood, which not only is exhausting but often backfires and rarely works. A telltale sign of codependency is actually sort of a lot of indecision and self-doubt. So typically codependents will have a thought and then tell themselves they shouldn't be thinking that way, or have a feeling and then tell themselves they shouldn't be feeling that way, or make a decision and tell themselves they shouldn't act that way, and on it goes. So in terms of healing codependency, what's needed? Firstly, it's all about awareness, particularly awareness of what's actually called the drama triangle, which I'll go into in a moment. And the second part of healing codependency is just taking action that's different. The drama triangle was first described by Stephen Cartman. It really is about showing the sort of three different points of the triangle, the three different roles that codependents especially tend to play out over and over. The first point is the rescuer. So this is when we come in, where we take care of people's responsibilities, where we caretake and help. That's point number one. At some point, we'll move on to the second point in the triangle, which is the persecutor. So having helped out, doing something we don't really want to be doing, doing something that wasn't really our responsibility, having often ignored our own sort of needs and wants and desires, anger starts to flare. Very often because the person we think we've so generously helped isn't really appreciative of our so-called help. They're not behaving in the way we want them to, they're not getting better. And so sort of anger gets more and more dominant there, whether that's overt anger or more passive-aggressive anger. And then the final corner in that triangle is sort of the victim, where we end up feeling victimized, where we end up feeling used or sorry for ourselves, because here we are, the martyr, having helped out, and it all hasn't worked out how we planned. So it's really important, sort of, if you're struggling with codependency, that you get that cycle. And what really shifts it is just awareness, where you see the 3 points, you see the 3 roles that you typically play, and you interrupt the cycle. And awareness is really one of the key ways in which that happens. So the second part of healing codependency is really about taking action that's different. The first point that's really important is saying no when you want to say no. If you can't quite get a no out because it feels too difficult, then at least buy yourself some time. So rather than saying yes, say something along the lines of, oh, can I take a minute to think about that? I'll have to get back to you. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Anything like that gives you just a little bit more time so you can actually connect with potentially that no in your body. Sort of often the chest and stomach will contract, and actually see if you can get a no out of your mouth. Another important point is to stop guessing what people might be needing from you. So just ask them directly, sort of, what do you need from me? And actually spell out that you're no longer going to sort of guess. It's really important that you're also doing that from the other side, so you're no longer expecting other people to kind of mind read what your desires or thoughts are. You're just actually letting them know if you need something, you actually spell it out and go, oh, these are my needs, is that okay? And see if your partner or family member or whatever can meet those. So much more direct. What's also really important is when you're feeling overwhelmed, which codependents often do, just ask yourself the question, what do I need to take care of myself right now? What do I need to take care of myself right now? Sometimes that will be, I need some exercise, sometimes that'll be a nap, sometimes it'll mean I need some food, sometimes it means I need to get a job or take a day off work. Whatever it is, sort of get used to checking in with what you're actually needing in each particular moment. Also get really clear around anger. Codependents often have sort of slightly distorted relationships with anger. See if you can allow yourself to feel angry, and see if you can make it okay for others to feel angry also. So there are a few tips there. I think healing codependency is like a process. You'll know when you're kind of gone off piece, because you'll be back into that triangle, often feeling very resentful. That's kind of often the telltale sign that, oh, I'm back in it. Because you've overextended yourself, or you've lost touch with your own needs and wants. So it's really just about implementing different action over and over and over again until it becomes sort of second nature, to actually be fully in tune with what your thoughts, feelings, needs are in each moment. So I hope that's helpful. If you want to read more on codependency, I've written a blog on it at sabrinaweymouth.com, so do check that out, along with a book recommendation, Codependent No More, written by Melody Beattie, which is a sort of bestseller. That's a good place to start. Thanks so much for watching.